Today we're going to look at section 1.3 out of your textbook. And this is just a continuation of what we did last week. And it should be a little bit easier this week. So I'm just going to work through several examples. Okay, so for all of these, we're just going to be solving for x or whatever variable's given. So the thing that you have to do with these is basically bring all of your x's to one side and everything else to the other side. So it's just like what we did last week. And you can decide which side you want to move things and all that. So for this example, though, I would take this 4x and I would subtract it from both sides. And the reason I would do that is that 5 minus 4 is 1. So this is really just going to be x. And then this would be minus 4 because I didn't do anything to the minus 4. And then 4x minus 4x is 0. So now I just have a one-step equation. So add this 4 to both sides, and you have x equals 4. Okay, for another example, do something like that. So for this one, same thing, we're just isolating x, so meaning we're going to bring x's to one side and then everything else to the other side. And I like to keep all the x's positive, so I would add this 3x to both sides because if I subtracted the 5x, I would have a negative 8x, but this way it keeps it positive. So I have 8x plus 27. And then on this side, I would just have 27 left because the 3x's cancel. So now, same thing, I need to get everything away from x. So in this case, I will subtract 27. And that would leave me with 0. And I haven't been writing the zeros out before, but usually you write the 0 out when it's the only thing on that side of the equation. And we have 0 equals 8x. And for this type of problem, I like to think about this because there's a lot of mistakes you can make in this last step. What number times 8 would equal 0? That's what that question's asking. Well, the only number times anything that's going to be 0 every time is 0. So we know the answer is actually 0 before we go through this operation. So if I divide each side by 8, just so that I have 1x equals a number, I get x on this side and equals 0 over 8. So 0 over 8 is not equal to 8. 0 over 8 means you have nothing and then you try to divide it. Well, that would still be 0. So I like to think about that as in what number times, 8 times what number is 0, because that makes a little more sense to me. Okay, for a third example, let's do something like this. Okay, for this example, what we're going to want to do is first distribute on the left. So I'm going to take this 3 and distribute it to both of those. So we would have, this would be 3x plus 3 times 3, which is 9, equals 2x plus 1. And so now it looks just like the other problems we did. So I would go and subtract this 2x from both sides. That leaves me with x. I like that because that means the rest of this is going to be pretty easy. And I have a 1 left on the other side. And so now we're going to subtract the 9. So 1 minus 9, it's going to be negative. And what's the difference between 9 and 1? It is 8. Okay, so in the next example, and I'm just sort of increasing in difficulty with each example I do. Let's go 4x plus 2 divided by 2 equals 3x minus 6 divided by 3. Okay, so this kind of combines some stuff from last week we did, and you don't have a lot of these to do in the homework because they take a little longer. But let's see what we can do here. So I know that if I multiply a fraction by whatever's in the denominator, that'll clear my fraction out. So I know if I multiply this fraction by 2, the 2's will cancel. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to both sides. So I have to multiply this by 2 as well. So on the left, these two will cancel. The 2's cancel. And I would just be left with 4x plus 2. And on the right side, you do have to distribute the 2. So let's distribute it. And it only distributes to the numerator. So this is going to multiply into negative 6 and a 3x. So I would get 6x minus 12. But I would still have this 3 down here. So then if we multiply by the 3, we can clear out the 3 as well, just like we did to the other side with the 2. So I'm going to multiply this by 3. And I have to do that to both sides because it's an equation. And let's simplify that. So then we'll have 12x plus 6 equals, and on this side, these 3's cancel. So if it's in the numerator and the denominator, it's just equal to 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we can cancel them. And then I would have 6x minus 12. And now we just go through the basic stuff we've done before. And so let's subtract our 6x to get 6x plus 6 equals 0 minus 12. And then let's subtract this 6 to both sides. And we would get negative 18, because if you're negative 12 and then you go another negative 6, you're actually adding those. And we have 6 and divide by 6. So x would be negative 3. Okay, so for this next, let's do a problem. Let's do one that has 2 distributions. So let's go 1/4 times 2 times x minus 1 plus 10, and that equals x. So in this one, there's a lot of parentheses, and what you want to do is work from the inside out. So I'm going to work with the most inner part first. So I would take this 2, and I'm going to first distribute that to those 2 terms. So I'd have 1/4 times 2x minus 2 plus 10 equals x. Okay, now we're going to simplify what's in the parentheses. So we have 1/4 times 2x, negative 2 plus 10 is 8, equals x. And this answer may not be a whole number answer, so we're kind of going to get away from whole number answers relatively soon anyway. So if I distribute this in, the 1/4, this would be 2/4 x plus 8/4 equals x. And okay, from this step, what we'll do, I'm going to take that, those both share a common denominator. So what I'm going to do in this next step is going to shorten the amount of work we have to do. So if I just put those, it's 2x plus 8, and since both of them are over 4, I can put them both over 4 like this. And I do know that with this fraction, 8 over 4, I could have made that just 2, but that's going to cause me to have to do a couple other steps if I do that. So if I put them over 4, all I have to do is multiply both sides by 4 to clear the 4 out. So these would cancel, and I would have 2x plus 8 equals 4x. So now I have no fractions, and if I didn't do that, I would have to go and find common denominators once I simplified and all that, so I'd be working a lot more. So now I'm just going to subtract 2x. So this would be 2x on the right, 8 on the left, and divide. So this would be 4 equals x.